I've been on this journey with Jesus for quite some time, and I think over time, as you talked about this morning, I allowed my frustration with my circumstance, with my weakness, if you will, caused me to become really angry, and my anger turned into bitterness and rage against God, against pastors, against ministries, against leaders. See, my whole life I've wrestled with same-sex issues, and I didn't really know how to overcome them. As a matter of fact, I'd get really mad at when people would say, God can free you, God can deliver you. Well, it didn't work for me. I mean, I went through ex-gay reparative therapy, shock treatments, deliverance sessions, like you name it. I wanted the gay gone, but it just wouldn't go away. So I became angry and left the Christian church and started going to a progressive church. It was in that time that I was asked to lead the congregation. I was leading the congregation, and I started seeing things that was blowing my mind. I was sharing a platform with Satanists, with pagans. I was sharing the platform with Buddhists, and with real-life witches and warlocks and tarot card readers, you name it. Sorcery was at its best at the center of this church. 4 years in, and I start questioning whether I'm in the right place. See, I've tasted of God. I knew God was real, but I was so broken and hurt and afraid to deal with the mess. And I started focusing so much on the mess that I was missing the messenger. And I think that Jesus began speaking to me. So while I had turned my back on Jesus and started calling God goddess and saying that anything was God in my present, quietly, I was in my home trying to approach this amazing Jesus. So Jesus started approaching me in radical ways. He approached me through a drag queen. This drag queen came up to me and said, Daniel, you're a part of the occult. You need to get out of it. And of course, I looked at the drag queen, tried to justify really my position. I'm a person of light. I'm there to invade the darkness. And the drag queen looked at me and said, oh, honey, these people don't love you. They hate you. And they're doing everything they can to destroy the faith in God that you have. Literally, I'm an advocate for this community that's trying to destroy my very relationship with Jesus. Well, the encounters didn't stop. My depression, I got really sick. I mean, I literally was facing all kinds of suffering. I was sick. I was in and out of the hospital. I was experiencing lack. I mean, you name it, I was going through it. And the former pastor had said to me, I think your problem is you take your faith too seriously. You're not out living promiscuous. The problem is you need to go out and have some sex. Basically, what you need to do is you need to put the hoe in the holy, And so I'm like, well, maybe there's something to it, So I decided that I'm going to get on an app, and I'm swiping and trying to find my connection. And I meet someone, and this person and I decide we're going to connect. And when I decide to connect with them that night, as I'm texting them, they're calling me and they leave me a message. And their message is, Daniel, I know I agreed to connect with you, but I just encountered Jesus, and Jesus wants to encounter you. It was in this moment that I knew that Jesus was really trying to captivate my heart. I had lost focus, literally. My world was collapsing. Everything that I was fighting for was literally turning into crap. And so here I am saying, okay, Jesus, I'm listening at this point. And the Lord began ministering to me and visiting me in the night hour, 2:00 in the morning into 3. My first encounter was my aunt had given me this cassette tape, and it was called Lord Light the Fire Again. Listen, I have tasted and seen of God. I've experienced the depths of his love. I was raised in an independent, fundamental, rigid, frigid, frozen, chosen Baptist home. And I knew that Jesus was real. But the thing is I was lost in it. And so Jesus met me and he said, Daniel, do you remember when your aunt gave you this tape? And I said, yes. And it was a moment that my heart had been awakened. He said, what are these lyrics? And the lyrics were this: don't let my love grow cold. I'm calling out, Lord, light the fire again. Don't let my vision die. I'm calling out, light the fire again. And I knew at this moment, Jesus, I'm listening night after night. Do you remember when Benny Hinn prayed with you? Do you remember when Teal Osborne prophetically spoke over you? Do you remember when Carol Arnett prayed for you? Do you remember when? And now we're at the end of the year and the question changed. And it was, are you done yet? I was asked to lead this congregation for a 5th year. And I said yes. The money was too great. It became a gig. But it was contingent on one thing. I was going to have to share the platform with a real life witch who wanted to do rituals. And I said immediately, I'm done. I can't do this. And I resigned, and it was immediate. I found myself in the church here. And it was that Sunday that you shared what God was doing in our church. And the song that came on that video was, do you want another drink? Let me tell you, that took me back to 1995. Lord, light the fire again. Man, I've tasted of this stuff. And I knew that Jesus was speaking to me. So it just got real from then. God began to meet with me again. I wanted to come to the conference. I didn't have funds. God provided the way. I ended up coming the second night. The woman that came with me, I had asked to be my associate pastor at this progressive church. She looked at me sitting right in this area and she said, you know, Daniel, God really wants to address your same-sex issues. And I said, let's not talk about it, not tonight. And she was bold enough to look at me again and say, I really think that you need to open your heart because Jesus wants to address this. And I said, Amanda, we are not talking about it. Drop it. You can imagine the awkward silence. But I knew that the Jesus in her was calling out every demonic force that was trying to trap me. By that Sunday, I was at this altar when Kyle came up and you guys were sharing about recapping what Jesus was doing. Something was different about the conference. It was so authentic. There was something real about it. I had been a part of this. I've seen it. And I knew Jesus was saying, it's time. But what no one knew is that Sunday night, that Saturday night before Sunday, I'd had this really deep encounter with God. And for some crazy reason, Julie, he kept on showing up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was awakened by the Lord, but this time was different. I literally woke up feeling like there was a person speaking to me live in my room. And this voice said, Daniel, you prioritize pride over my promise. And it's time to lay down that which will never fulfill your heart. And I knew I had to come to church that day and lay it down, but I didn't know how. And I said to Jesus, God, I'm not gonna not be gay. Like if that's what you're telling me, that's not gonna happen. And here's what he said, Daniel, I'm not asking you to not be gay. What I'm asking you is, would you just be my son? Would you just be my son? I don't know what it's like to be a son, Julie. I don't know what it's like. I had a dad so focused on ministry, he didn't pay attention to the son and nurturing the son. So Jesus, I need you to show me how to be a son. And here's what Jesus said, you're not bad, I'm not mad. I want to journey alongside this with you, son. Would you just say yes? And so I said yes. I came to church that Sunday and my world was rocked. I fell over. I don't think I cried that heavy in church before, but something shifted because that night when I went to bed, the very things that I advocated for that night, the very next morning, Jesus removed the veil from my eyes, and the very things that I once celebrated, for some reason, I didn't have a love for anymore. And I threw everything away. I went to every social site. I said, no more. I don't want to be identified by that anymore. I want to be known as a son of God. And I'm telling you today, if you are wrestling with some stuff, you're not bad. God's not mad. There is a grace for you to say, I totally surrender. It's in my weakness that I'm made strong. Greater is the God who is in me than the enemy that is trying to silence me, defeat me, destroy me, and tell me no more. You have destiny written on you, and you can say yes.
Amen. This is what Jesus does. This is what Jesus does. This is for him.